It feels like no matter what lineup Don Kelly puts together anymore, I feel like somebody I wanted to see isn't in it, and somebody I don't want to see is. I'm not sure what I'm even trying to get at here, except I need to make sense of what this team actually has in the infield right now. Let's talk about it next on Locked On Pirates.
You are Locked On Pirates, your daily Pittsburgh Pirates podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Locked On Pirates, your daily dose of black and gold baseball talk. I'm your host, Gary Morgan. Today, diving into the Pirates infield situation, both the current chaos and what it might look like in 2026. We'll also tackle a thoughtful listener question about mental health support in pro sports and wrap up with an early look at who might be added to the 40-man roster this offseason. Let's get into it. But before we do, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So as I'm watching, the team kind of struggle to figure out who's in the mix and who isn't in the mix in the infield, I guess I'm starting to formulate some opinions on guys, and I think I'm starting to at least learn some things about them, and it's going to help us maybe put this puzzle together a little bit. So, like right now, they're running a carousel. You got Cam Devaney, you got Nick York, Nick Gonzalez, Jared Triolo, Liover Peguero is still here, whether you remember him being here or not. Pirates sure don't. And Spencer Horwitz. And I mean, Cam Devaney, so far, getting reps, it looks like he can handle third base. I'm not sure why they didn't give him a shot at shortstop at all, unless they feel like he's got more of a power profile than Jared Triolo, which I guess I could accept. But man, I haven't seen it at this level. I kind of tacked it on at the end of yesterday's show, just a little bit of a complaint about Cam Devaney, just not seeing it. I mentioned you don't get the benefit of being trained at this level when you're 29. And I mean that in the most sincere way I can put it. The upside here, and this isn't about like, oh no, we traded Adam Frazier, we're so screwed. It's not that. Listen, Adam Frazier is going to go. It doesn't matter. And you weren't expecting a gigantic piece back, but the selling point for Devaney is that he's blocked up behind Bobby Witt. And the first thing the Pirates try to do is move him to third base, which if that was in his skill set or something that his bat was making necessary, don't you think Kansas City probably would have done that too? I mean, they've not exactly had the cleanest ride in the world over at third base while they've been trying to work with Bobby Witt. I can completely get behind the guy being blocked behind Bobby Witt. And he's a legitimately talented shortstop. I saw some plays he made in Indianapolis that I thought they were pretty classically, this is a really good shortstop type plays. They're things you don't see. So I at least wanted to see it up here. I was a little shocked to see them defer to using him at third base. It's fine. I don't care one way or another, because until the bat does something, it hardly matters. You got Nick York. I think Nick York, at the very least, looks like a major league player. And this is the best I can put, because he's not really giving you the stats that would make you feel good about him. I don't think we've seen that yet. I don't think this is a guy that like you anoint a starter or something because of what he's done up here. It's not like that. But I do think that first, he looks the part. He's big enough. He looks developed physically. He also just gives you the impression that he's one of those guys that he'll get better. He'll figure it out. Like there's certain hallmarks you look for. Things you chase, things you don't chase, situationally things you do. And I think we've seen some things on the downside with him too in that regard. He doesn't always necessarily understand when he needs to take a pitch to see if a stolen base can develop. He doesn't necessarily always hit the ball to the opposite field when he really, really should. He doesn't absolutely make contact in a situation where you just got to have contact. He's got a knack for it at times, but he's also shown a proclivity for maybe not being ready to do it all the time. Liover Peguero has not gotten to play much. I personally think that out of many of the people that they've tried, he's shown me a little bit more, at least as far as the athleticism goes, the speed goes. He does seem to have a little bit of pop behind his hits. I'm not saying it's produced power, but he hasn't been given any kind of a consistent opportunity to see what's there. Just hasn't. He had one little stretch here with the big club, did okay, and it really kind of just never was graced with another opportunity, certainly not a consistent opportunity. It's very hard for me to judge Liover Peguero. All I can judge really is that by their usage, they're telling me that he's not part of the solution here. You got Spencer Horwitz. I don't know if you want to count him in this because I think he's really kind of come into his own recently, especially as the wrist has continued to heal. He's not flashy. I think he's a good fielder, good fielding first baseman. That's important. I kind of like seeing what he's been doing against lefties in spots here recently. He's at least drawing walks against them. It doesn't seem to be a complete mismatch up there. It certainly doesn't look like O'Neal Cruz facing a lefty. Listen, I don't want to judge good or bad here. I just want to say, like, let's see it a little bit here and there. Like, I understand you're trying to get other bats in there, but wouldn't it be nice to kind of find out if Spencer can be an everyday guy? I'm not saying you have to use him that way, but maybe you wouldn't have to jump to the bench all the time when it does come up. Nick Gonzalez certainly factors in here. He's been quietly productive. Probably just won the second base job for 2026 if you want to be real about it. And Jared Triolo, shortstop, third base, I don't know. But it feels like he's going to be on this club, right? I mean, like, when you start looking towards next year, Gonzalez is a lock. He's going to be the second baseman. His arm doesn't really play at short or third. I know that he can play short in a pinch. I don't think you want to see them maneuver him into the third base role. I just think it would prove itself to be a bad idea. In fact, Nick's worst range metrics are all to his left, and he'd be doing nothing but that at third base. I just don't think that's what you want to do with them. Nick York's got a lot of the same problems. He doesn't have the arm to play either of those two positions, so he's a second base, first baseman, maybe an emergency outfielder type guy. Devaney can clearly handle third base and shortstop, but I haven't seen him hit enough to care. And I'm not sure how much time a guy like that really gets. Horwitz is going to be the starting first baseman. There's room for a platoon, probably. And then Triolo, I'm sorry, his versatility keeps him in the mix. This late season hitting, it's nice. But that's not why he gets a spot. He gets a spot because I can't think of enough guys that I know hit better to push him off this team. And even if the Pirates go sign somebody, I would think Jared Triolo is an insurance policy that you would want on your bench. I mean, it's a sure glove. I think they're honestly going to want to give him an opportunity next year, but Third base or shortstop probably doesn't matter, right? It's whichever one they can't fill the easiest via trade and or free agency. And I would think third base would be easier than shortstop. So good shot, Jared Trollo is your opening day shortstop. When we talk about like the 40 man in this third segment, I'll bring up Connor Griffin then. Yeah, he could factor into this mix too next spring. But I'm trying to deal with what is right now, not what might be. Let's let this kid go through the playoffs and see how that goes, and then we'll pick it up on the other side. This team is still figuring out its identity unbelievably in year 6, and the infield, if you ask me, is Exhibit A. There should be a lot more firm answers than there are at this point. And, I guess I should maybe count my blessings and watch my step, because here I am upset I don't have firm answers, and they just traded away a firm answer at third base that I'm kind of glad they moved on from. It's not always the best thing having an answer. When we come back, let's touch on a touchy subject from a really good listener question. You've probably seen a million ads for hair growth products and thought, sure, like that actually works. There are so many products out there, and it's hard to know which ones are actually going to do anything. That's why you should give Nutrafol a closer look. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand, trusted by over 1.5 million people. And it's not just hype. This is the supplement clinically tested that targets the root cause of thinning and shedding with a proactive approach. And you can feel good about it knowing Nutrafol is an NSF certified and backed by peer-reviewed studies. See thicker, stronger hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering Locked On MLB listeners $10 off your first month's subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code LOCKEDONMLB. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code LOCKEDONMLB. There's nothing like catching a baseball game live, the energy, the crowd, the chance to see your team in person. But actually getting tickets, that's the tough part. Queues, login screens, surprise fees. It takes all the fun out of it. That's why I use Gametime, the app that gives you the advantage back to fans. Gametime is fast, easy, and backed by a Gametime guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included. So the price you see is the price you pay. The app makes it super simple. You can even see the exact view from the seat before you buy it. And I already mentioned it, but it's super important. Know your total up front. The fees are included with no surprise fees at checkout. Download Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Gametime today. Hey, welcome back to Locked On Pirates. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. And this segment is an AMA. Great question. Remember, you can always submit those anytime you like on YouTube or anywhere you find me on socials. Give me a holler and question, and you might just wind up being a segment on here, especially if it's got legs and it's something I really feel like I can talk about. So here we go. Gary, with all the money clubs spend on stats, metrics, and the geeks that are associated with that stuff, do clubs invest in psychology professionals? Players cost tons of money to develop, but baseball seems to ignore this aspect of the sport. This is a fantastic question. The short answer is yes, but much like our society, just because we try to address something doesn't mean we address it well. I mean, Major League Baseball doesn't know how to handle this sort of stuff. They're and why would they really? I mean, this is you're supposed to pitch, right? And you come to me and tell me that you're having issues, focusing or something, or there's some kind of issue you're dealing with that you need help with, and you're supposed to start tomorrow. First, I think that's why players aren't going to open up about that sort of thing very often, because there's an inherent weakness that comes with it, at least the perception of it. And I think sometimes guys don't open up about that stuff. And when they do, it's, a guy like Austin Meadows, and then it becomes, front page news, and, you've stepped away from the game, and MLB doesn't really know how to handle it. And again, I have sympathy for this because I don't know how you would handle it with rosters and options and how you hold guys for talent reasons and hold their rights, but enable them to walk away from the team and not take your own roster spots away. There's a lot of considerations here as to why it doesn't get handled right now. That's the extreme side of things. But player development around the league, they all have something like this now. I know your question is coming from a Pirates fan, and your supposition is, I think it was prompted by the O'Neill Cruz discussion yesterday, and you're basically saying, well, do they invest anything in trying to get these guys' heads right, and I guess my reminder to you would be that John Baker, who was the top of the pyramid as far as the Pirates development system goes, was brought here directly from the Chicago Cubs, where he was in charge of their mental health skills and mental development. And he came here and brought a lot of those philosophies and instituted them into the system. And in many ways, I believe this system probably swayed a little bit too far toward that being a major focus as opposed to skills at times. That doesn't mean like that they were saying like, come on and tell me about your feelings instead of getting up there and practicing hitting. It's not like that. But it's more, there was more of a focus on, mental aspects of the game from a handling success, failure, media criticism, teammate interactions, that sort of stuff. Yeah, they very much so have been trying to address that stuff. Some of the things like I think that fans see as something that a mental development coach would be handling, but in reality, it kind of isn't. It is guys focusing on the field and whatnot. I mean, there is still nothing more than the traditional room to deal with that. There's the manager that is going to lay down the expectations. There's the room that typically will try to enforce said expectations and make sure that everybody understands the line that needs to be towed. Now, I can't say whether that does or doesn't happen on this baseball team. I'm not in that room. In fact, nobody covering this team, in truth, is in that room to that degree where they would see that. And you can ask players about it. I have. And they'll tell you some things. Travis Snyder, former Buccos guy I talked to a lot, and he has an entire company based on teaching mental skills to athletes. Now he's focusing more on youth, but they're bleeding into the professional levels as well now with some of their guidance. And yeah, there are people focusing on it all over the place. I don't believe this to be a money thing as much as an ignorance thing, frankly. I think it's one of those things that people don't know how to handle. And it could be a money suck if you're stupid about it. If you just go in and you basically hire somebody that tells you to keep dumping money at it and it'll fix it, or it'll make it better, or you won't have any incidents of X, Y, or Z. If you're dumping money at a black hole, you don't really know what you're solving. You're just pouring money into it. And these guys, frankly, a lot of them are baseball people. they're bathed in the culture of failure and eating your sandwich, whether it's a crap sandwich or not, because it's the one you got that day. And what game other than baseball teaches you to accept failure more? I mean, so I think most people that are in leadership roles in baseball, they're very culturalized to not think about this aspect really. At least not to a degree where it would be administrated. That said, society has moved far enough along that the sports leagues have had to kind of do that. And we've always had sports therapists on the outside. Now you got those on the inside. If people need to talk, they're available. You can talk to them. I don't think they've handled everything properly league wide as far as addressing that sort of thing or helping. I also don't think, again, it was in the spirit of your question. Your question is like on the field. How do you get guys to focus when they don't? Or how do you get guys to be intense the whole time? Or how do you get them past a mental block that's preventing their performance? That's a tough question. I don't know. We haven't had answers for this ever. Remember when Pat Mears quit knowing how to throw from second to first? Nobody could help him either. Some guys are just wired that way. They're going to get engaged when they get engaged. A lot of football players are like that. They'll tell you the first thing that needs to happen is they need to get hit. That's the first thing that puts them back in the game. Well, baseball, maybe for some guys, there's no hitting, but maybe they need to hit or they need to be involved early. They need to have a ball hit to them in the first inning. They need to have a plate appearance in the bottom of the first or the top of the first. They need something to draw them into the contest and get them amped where they need to be. And yeah, there should be ways to help guys do that, but I don't believe Major League Baseball has gotten to the point where they believe it's their responsibility. And maybe they should. But again, I feel like most of the answer is they don't really know how to fix it, so they'd rather just not get their hands in it. Great question, though, for real. If you got anything like this that'll set me off on a segment, I love it. And your questions have legs. I will definitely use them. I love talking about different things that maybe weren't on the front of my mind. When we come back, let's talk some 40-man stuff. It's time to start doing that. We're getting towards the end of the season here. The NFL season is almost here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Money, 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 everybody. It makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Hey, welcome back to Locked On Pirates. Let's do 40-man conversations. I know you guys love this sort of thing. We will, at some point, in depth talk about all the guys the Pirates could cut to make room. But I think for this conversation, suffice to say, there's plenty. We'll find a way to make room for as many guys as we really feel are necessary. Okay. And keep in mind, too, you got to get up to the 40-man, but just keep in mind, too, you want to leave some room for free agents to come in. So you may need to make more spots than you need to fill here. But let's talk about at least the couple that I feel are must-adds and the few that I think need strong consideration. The must-adds, Hunter Barco. I'd be shocked if we don't see Hunter Barco added before the season ends. I don't even know if that necessarily means he's going to pitch. They've all but shut him down. They want him to basically cross the finish line and break the tape on this season. So they want to be able to say that he pitched a complete season, but they are holding him back big time in AAA, which should tell you that they think he's already hit the innings they want him to hit. This is a guy that you could see maybe getting one of those like 1 or 2 inning outings very late in the season. This has nothing to do with performance. I think this is, and it's a formality. He is definitely going to get added to the 40-man. Has to. Brandon Bidois has kind of just come out of nowhere this year. Big arm, real chance to help in 2026. I could see him being added to the 40-man really at any time here to come up and help this team. He's on an unbelievable scoreless streak in the minor leagues. He has come all the way from single A to triple A this year, and he's been Rule 5 eligible. So they absolutely have to protect him this year. He will get taken. Someone will take a shot on him. I can't see any way around this. He will have to be protected. Strong consideration. Now, some of these names, when I start laying them out there, you're going to immediately say yes to all of them. And I understand that. You know, you're looking at your team right now, and prospects always look better. But everyone I'm going to name here is in Double A. First, that should kind of frighten you. I'm skipping Triple A almost altogether, right? The only AAA guy I'm going to mention, I'm going to go ahead and get him out of the way right now. And I'm not 100% sure that it's going to happen, but Eddie Yeen is possible. I don't necessarily think he's done enough this year, but he's got the body type, and he's got some measurables on some of his offerings. He's kind of one of your traditional guys that somebody will take a roll on. It's a back of the bullpen type guy. You can stash him. Good chance that you can work with them, see if you can get, you might even be able to use them throughout the year. I think Eddie Yeen's got that written all over him. And if I'm the Pirates, maybe I just let it happen, because I'm not 100% sure that you want to be in a position where you're carrying him. Sean Sullivan's another AAA guy that I would consider. I've liked him for a few years though, so I'm kind of biased. And I haven't been hearing a lot of buzz, so probably not all that likely. So Double A is where we're going to focus, and I think you got a few real candidates here. Again, Connor Griffin is on that list, and he doesn't need it, so you won't see them press that into action. If he's going to be added to the 40-man, it'll be next spring. It won't have anything to do with all the off-season moves and shenanigans that take place, okay? So get that out your head right now. That's why he doesn't get really mentioned in this too much. Nick Camillo really kind of came on this year. First baseman, DH. They call him catcher, but I haven't really seen a lot of the catching, so I kind of can't comment too much on it. He's a big guy, hitting decent amount of home runs this year. Still strikes out a bit much, but definitely took a jump. Very well respected in the Altoona room. Nick Camillo is a guy worth thinking about protecting. I'm not sure he would survive someone's roster for a whole year. And position players don't get picked all that often. So don't be shocked if they leave him sit there exposed. But it's possible. Javier Rivas, guy that they have been moving up. You know, they're going to send him to the AFL, and I think that's a good thing. Bat first infielder, not the greatest fielder in the world, but you know, he showed a lot of power earlier, and I think that it's emerging for him. I still think it might be a year early here to worry about. There's still enough holes that I don't think a major league team is going to try to pick him up. Jack Brannigan is a guy that I thought going into this season was going to be very much in this conversation. Been injured most of this year, so I'm not really sure how that affects him. I know he's got some pop. He's a really good fielder. He can play third base. Probably can play shortstop if they really wanted to. He's Triolo-like with maybe a little bit more pop. Little bit older guy. I think they'll probably be safe with him. His injured status this whole season probably leads to that. Omar Alfonso. This is a guy I'm not sure a lot of you are thinking about. Catcher. He plays first base as well. He can DH. He's lefty. I don't know. It depends on how they feel about their depth at catcher. They got Flores now, so that's another piece. You got Henry Davis. Until they make a decision, they've got Joey Bart. You got Abraham Gutierrez. I think Nick Camillo, I'm not sure I'd count him in the catcher mix. So that kind of maybe ups the importance of Omar Alfonso. And this is, again, as a kid that's got some pop. He's got a big trunk on him, too. He's got a big backside, a lot of power in those legs. And then Emerson Valdez, he kind of just came out of nowhere and got himself into the top 30 this year. He's got a power arm. He's got raw and intriguing power at the plate. I really think he could be protected, if only because the power is very apparent. The strikeout rate is too, unfortunately. Being in Double-A might prevent him from being added to the 40-man, but fear of him getting taken might get him added as well. It's going to be an interesting one to see what they do there. The last one I want to mention, really, Antoine Kelly, pitching prospect. They're being careful with him. I think he's got a really, really high ceiling. Some of his stuff is disgusting. If somebody wanted to take him and shove him in their bullpen, they could. Yeah, he's a starting prospect. We've seen the Pirates do that with starting prospects in the past. Bring them in, try to stash them in the bullpen, see if you can turn around and make them into a starter again the next year. It'd be a heck of a painful talent to lose. Although I think at the end of the day, it's probably a year early on him. Pirates can make room for all these guys, but I don't think they have to, and I don't think you'll see them do so. I'm just kind of mentioning as many guys as I can think of. If there's anybody you want to know about in the minors that you think maybe should be added to the 40-man or should be considered, let me know. Love to talk about them, or at least talk to people that are smarter than me about them and then get back to you. Listen, that's all I got today. The infield is messy. The 40-man is looming. And the mental side of the game is, I guess, starting to get some more attention, which is a good thing. Pirates have decisions to make, and not just on the field. Thanks for listening to Locked On Pirates. Be sure to subscribe, leave a review, send in your questions. Until next time, let's go Bucks.